Hi, we are moving into lesson 5, which is expressions for area. So we are on page 179. It says the figures below show a floor plan for a room. Kaiko, Alex, and Deshawn each found a different expression for the area of the room. Analyze the expressions, then discuss with your partner how the student might have thought about the area. Describe how the parts of the expression relate to the diagram. I will just explain this, and if we can, we'll pause it as we need to. But the first thing it says to do is analyze the expression. So that's where you go through and you circle the areas, the terms that you're dealing with. So here's Kaiko's expression, and it looks like these are all the same floor plan. Before I can make sense of this, I'm going to go ahead and look carefully at the complex figure. It looks like we have all the sides filled in except for these two. So if the long side is 10 here and this is 6, 10 minus 6 is 4. So this is 6. If this length here was 8 and this is 5, the difference there is 3. So this one is 3. Okay, now I feel ready. So analyze. So that means go through and circle your order of operations. So 5 times 10 is first. I don't see anything in parentheses and I don't see any exponents. So I'm going to circle here. Skip the addition and circle the next multiplication problem. So we actually have two terms, 5 times 10 plus 3 times 6. So now we're supposed to kind of think about how this expression relates to how I would solve the area for this floor plan. And then describe it, I guess. So we have 5 times 10 and 6, or 3 times 6. So let's see how Kaiko kind of put this complex figure together. For the 5 times 10, it looks like he divided this figure right here. Because the length of 10 can still be multiplied by 5. So the 5 times 10 makes sense for the larger rectangle, which leaves a smaller one. And the area for this one, let's see if this is true then. Would it in fact be 3 times 6? Yep. 3 was the width here times 6. So 3 times 6, or I could think of it as 3 times 6. And 5 times 10, and then we would add those together. So this is how they would want us to say this. Kaiko saw a smaller rectangle on top of a larger rectangle. 5 times 10 is the area of the larger rectangle at the bottom. And 3 times 6 is the area of the smaller rectangle at the top. So you could describe that in writing. Kaiko divided this figure into two rectangles. The large one is found by multiplying 5 times 10, and the small rectangle is 3 times 6. Okay, let's move to the next figure. This time, we have the same floor plan for the next two problems. It's just different ways of looking at it. Remember, this unit is all about being flexible in our thinking and different ways to think about terms and how to combine them. So here's Alex's. So he has, or she, 8 times 6 plus 4 times 5. So if I analyze this, that would mean that Alex is multiplying a base and a height and adding that to another base and a height, 4 times 5. So this time, it looks like if he multiplied, or she, 8 times 6, we would have to divide it here. So this would be 8 times 6. And then that left him or her with Alex with, 10 times 6 would give us this length here, which would be 4. So we have 4 times 5. And again, you would just simply explain that Alex divided this complex figure into a large rectangle and multiplied 8 times 6 for that one, and a small rectangle and multiplied 4 times 5. Here's Deshawn's. So Deshaun had the same figure. This time we see subtraction. So again, we're going to analyze this. 8 times 10, and then take away the result of 3 times 4, or 12. So it's going to be 80 minus 12. Now this, I've talked to you guys about this sometimes when we were studying area, and how I like to sort of subtract sometimes from a bigger figure. But I know we didn't really deal with that as much in class. But you could so if it's 8 times 10 for Dijon, it's like saying 8 times 10. Well, if that's the case, then this whole area has to be part of this large rectangle. And then we're going to take away 3 times 4, which would make sense. 10 minus 6 would give me 4 here. And the difference of 8 and 5 gave us 3 here. So 3 times 4 is what he's subtracting. So in this case, you would just explain that Deshaun decided to multiply this entire area, subtract this from it. And you could explain it that way.